Well, hey, guess what, people? It's Tuesday, October 5th, and I thought I'd make a little video on the Ford TTB, which is the Ford twin traction beam front axle used on a lot of the old Fords like this back here. Basically modeled after the twin I-beam suspension. It's basically the same, except it has a working axle in it and differential. So I got a lot of questions, or I've seen a lot of questions of people asking about alignments and having problems keeping it aligned or getting it aligned. So I thought I'd show you a little video here on just exactly why they're so tough to keep aligned. Now, I just want to make sure these are the proper terms so I don't throw everybody all off and have people give me all kinds of weird comments. There's a ride height on this, okay? You got the ride height. There's a height when you have it loaded up. You got a lot of load on there, you know, it's going to squish down a little. That's going to affect your alignment. So you want to do all your adjustments at ride height. Not the right height, ride height. You know, your average everyday height. You don't want to do it when you got a boat hooked up to it, because that's going to change your camera on here and affect everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jack up the front end so you can see exactly the effects of camber on here, or the effects of the ride height. Because when the front end is compressed, so you got weight on it, the camber is going to go in, your tires are going to bend in like that. When the weight is lightened up and the suspension is fully extended, your wheels are going to drop down and camber out like that. Get it? Alright. So let me jack it up and I'll show you why. So sit tight. Alright, there we go. Now that's pretty much, the suspension there is pretty much maxed out. Okay? Alright. Alright. This is just like the twin I-beam suspension. You got one beam coming over to the driver's side, and you got another beam going over to the passenger side. The only difference is you got an axle hooked up here. This is your center section right here. This is your differential. You got a short little stub piece coming off into the driver's side. Then on the back side of here, there's a U-joint. There's a U-joint on the back side of here, going off, coming out, and you can see it right here. And feeding the other axle, there's also a slip joint in here. The slip joint is in there because, as you can see, if you look very carefully, these tires are pivoting. It's going to be at an arc right now. If I were to measure it, I'm sure the distance between the tires is a lot closer. So you got to have that slip joint in there to make up for that, due to the ups and downs, the suspension, compression. As I say, you want to do all your adjustments at ride height, So you might have to test drive it a couple times every time you make an adjustment. And that's why a lot of these mechanics don't want to mess with this front end. They don't have the time. You take it to Pet Boys and Sears. A lot of these guys are paid by commission. How many cars a day they do. So they don't want to spend an hour at a $69 wheel alignment. You know, screw that. Send your ass down the road is what they want to do. So, like I said, the hardest part is getting the camber and Castor adjusted, and I'll show you why right now. But as you can see, can you see there? As you can see, the way these wheels, the camber changes on these wheels as it cycles through the suspension, as it's going up and down. The camber is constantly changing, and that's one reason why these vehicles wear out tires in the front. Like I said, the camber and castor is the hardest thing to adjust. You might have to put the new camber bushings in there. They'll have to adjust that, and all that takes time, so it might cost you a couple $100 to get it right. Once that's done, once you get your castor camber bushings in there, you shouldn't have to mess with it unless your springs really sag after a year or two. These springs have been there, hell, I don't know how long now, 8 years, maybe 10 years. I haven't had any issues. Normally when I take it in, it's all about adjusting the toe. Okay, this right here is the top stud off your ball joint. Okay, you got two ball joints on here. You got one on the top, one on the bottom, and your steering knuckle pivots on that. Well, the bottom one is fixed. Okay, in other words, it doesn't move. It's set. Now, the top one is adjustable. That's what this thing is here. It's got a nut holds it on. Pop that nut off. You got a cam in there. You got these little, looks like a crown nut, right? Okay, that locks your cam in, keeps your cam from turning. The thing's concentric, I think is the term. Your cam is. And they come in different degrees, depending on how far you need to move this stud. Okay. So if you look straight up and down here, you can see that the ball joint is laid back a little. Okay. That is your castor. That's your castor. This is pivoting a little bit, right? Like that. You want it leaned back a little bit. There's a mount, there's a spec to that. I don't know what it is. That's why I don't like messing with it. I like taking this to the shop and have them mess with this. You got to pull off the wheel. You got to take all this stuff off. You got to slip that out. Put another cam in. And not only does this adjust your castor, okay? It's adjust your castor. That's your castor. It's adjusting the pivot. Where the steering knuckle pivot's got to be. The top has to be just a hair back. This also adjusts your cam. Okay, this ball joint actually slides back and forward here with this cam. This is a cammed concentric bushing goes in there. As you can see, it's pretty close to the spring. I think I got the. I think these cams are probably maxed out. I'm not sure. It's been good all these years, so I don't know. But I did have to replace the cams, and that took care of that. But that's the amount of adjustment you have. And that one cam is supposed to adjust camber and castor, so you got to get it just right. You got to get them even. Look at my ABS cable here. Anyway, a little tape won't hurt. All right, that takes care of that. Got the truck all back together. I hope you learned something. Like I said, don't take me literally on none of this stuff. I'm just a backyard mechanic. I've messed around with stuff, learned stuff the hard way. This is what I know. You want to add something, feel free to add something. I don't know everything. What else here?